Jigsaw, and I appreciate that you're perhaps not as familiar with the Jigsaw model, but the Jigsaw model, basically we focus on 4 basic behavioural preferences. Now, you'll see later they've actually got their own names, but as you can see, they're related to colours, so we'll just simply at this point talk about the red, yellow, green and blue. People have a higher red preference, despite their claims that, you know, because they tend to be not somebody who displays their emotions as easily. And they will tend to tell you that, you know, they welcome change, they thrive on change, they don't go through denial, etc. But they do. They actually, even at an unconscious level, will deny their actual feelings and emotions. But they tend to move very quickly into that kind of re-engineering stage, focusing on that high level of planning, which helps them to actually, you know, accept the changes. Now, the other factor that we need to just have an awareness of is that very often the people who are driving the change, our leaders in organisations, tend to have a higher red preference anyway, and they tend to be the ones who are driving the change. So we can kind of understand how they can quickly go into that acceptance and are almost on to the next change, while some of us are still kind of catching up and working our way through the transition of the existing change project. People with a higher yellow preference. Now, the key stages to be aware of here, first of all, is they want to explore the opportunities, the possibilities. So when a change is announced, they will go in search of the opportunities, the possibilities that this change will present. They're quite excitable and they'll bring energy to the project. Now, the danger can be that if we announce the changes but don't make those opportunities and possibilities visible, because the yellow preference will still continue to look, to go in search. And if they can't find opportunities internally, then they may start to, well, look outside of the organisation. This is something that is a particular issue at the moment as we kind of come out of the pandemic, and people are kind of, some organisations wanting to go back to work, and perhaps not everybody is wanting to go back to work. So people are starting to look at their options, their possibilities, their opportunities. But once those opportunities have been identified, then the yellow preference starts to work, use all their innovative, creative, kind of to find new solutions, to find new ways of doing things. And enjoyment is a key driver for the yellow preference. So it's really important that we encourage them and allow them to celebrate those small wins as they go through, because that will keep them energized and motivated towards a change. Now, people with a higher green preference, they will spend time in that emotion stage. And usually when we're talking about organizational enforced kind of, or that feeling of enforced kind of change, then it's often feelings of being angry and perhaps resentful towards the changes and to the people that are even driving the changes. And they're focusing very much on what they stand to lose. They're pushed way outside their comfort zone, because people with a higher green preference, they like the certainty, they like stability. So leaders have to find a way to help them to achieve that comfort, to be able to stretch their comfort zone. And so they can once again return to feeling comfortable. And then once they've felt they're back within that kind of, they've got some element of control, they're feeling more comfortable, then they move towards that contentment and the change then becomes a norm. Now, our blue preference people, they probably remain in the denial, the resistance stage for the longest period of time. And they will remain there until they can actually validate the changes, make sense of the changes within their own reality. So a person who has a higher blue preference, they need to see the evidence, they need to see the proof, but in a way that makes sense to them within their world, a way that clearly illustrates that change is needed, and not just merely by cascading information down from the top of an organisation. That is not going to be sufficient. But once they have validated the change for themselves, then again, they get in there. They're ready to engage with the change. They're ready to get to play their part in the implementation. And we're going to be looking at those different roles as we go through.